there's something I'm supposed to learn by being in the current situation that I'm in, of being self-employed, feeling unemployed, trying to figure out what employment for me could and should look like. It's complicated, but I am hopeful that I'm learning something out of all this. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Jolie, and this is a vlog where I tell the story about why I decided to start my own business and work for myself. But first, it might be helpful if I told you a little bit about myself, right? So like I said, my name is Jolie, and once upon a time, I was a professional journalist. I was working full-time on staff, benefits and all that jazz at a lot of different publications, including Essence Magazine, HuffPost, and even Netflix. But in early 2023, I found myself unexpectedly unemployed and seemingly unemployable because I applied to over 300 jobs between then and now, and your girl could barely get as much as an email back, let alone an interview. And I got super depressed, but I still wanted to write and I still wanted to create things. So I decided if no one was going to hire me to do it, I would just do it on my own. And I created a newsletter called Finding the Right Words, where I challenged myself to journal for 30 days straight. And I published it and I shared it with people. And strangely enough, people started to join me on my journaling journey. And from then on, Finding the Right Words just continued to grow. I started creating monthly journaling challenges. I made a podcast. I started teaching classes and writing workshops. I've created a small but mighty community of creative people and mental health warriors and just people looking for inspiration and the right words to express and understand themselves more deeply. Since losing my job in 2023, I was freelancing and relying mostly on my own savings to support myself. But then something happened in February 2025 that made me realize it was time for a very necessary change.
It is Tuesday, February 4th, and I just found out that the publication I've been writing for the last 6 months has been dissolved. So like all the work I've been working on, all the work I would have started working on, my main source of income is gone again. Like once again, I'm unemployed, and that's just great. That's just delightful. Love it here. Love it here. The thing is, I'm not surprised. I'm just like, again? Really? Because this is kind of very normal for the industry that I'm in, which is news media, print media, writing professionally, right? People get laid off all the time. Publications close. When's the last time you picked up a newspaper? It's kind of just part of the evolution America's going in, if you can call like not really reading an evolution. But it's still just really frustrating, and it's causing me to question a lot of like my self-worth. Like, am I good at anything? Am I good at this? But I know that I am. I just need to figure out what to do. The journaling person in me is like, okay, one, what did we learn in this situation? What's the truth of the situation? And what are we going to do? So, one, what did I learn is that, I need multiple sources of income. That's obvious. That should be obvious to someone my age, right? Number two, what's the truth of the situation is that, I can still write. I still have opportunities, and that I will figure things out because I always do. And what are we going to do next is figure it out. So I guess that is my cue to get started on some pitches and to get started on some writing and to finish up this series that I'm doing on my newsletter. So let's do that. We always got something to do. I think something else that I need to do, hi, I'm in my bathroom now, I'm cleaning, is to also do something my mentor told me to do a long time ago, which is figure out what my journalism exit plan is. Like, what skills do I have that extend beyond this particular field of work and this particular medium? And I think that's possible. Like, I can write books, I can use my skills for nonprofits, I can teach. That's something to think about, but it's also something else on my list of things that I should be figuring out right now. Now I'm washing dishes. But I thought of something else that I could be doing. Something pretty obvious is I could work for myself. I could, beyond just freelancing, I could start my own business, which is something I've always wanted to do, but which would involve like selling products. But that's new, that's scary. It's something I have never done before. And even still, I would need capital, money to start doing something like that, right? So it's just more things to think about as I am on this journey. But yeah, I should probably finish these dishes and do some writing. So let's do that.
So that's what I did. I did some writing. I wrote in my journal about what type of work I wanted to do. I wrote out some pitches to send to different publications. I wrote way too many cover letters for jobs that I would never hear back from. I wrote content for Finding the Right Words newsletter because one crumbling publication don't stop no show. I wrote out podcast episodes. I wrote out grants. I wrote my way out, or whatever Alexander Hamilton said. And things were going good until suddenly they were not.
Hello. I've been crying for about an hour. Oops. Because I've just been feeling kind of alone. Like, I sometimes feel like it's just me and my journal out here, all on our lonesome, just having to encourage myself through stuff that's going on in my work life, in my financial life, in my personal life, my love life. And it's just me having to figure it out. And maybe that's being an adult. It definitely is being an adult. But damn, like, sometimes I really wish I had some help, some support. I really just feel like it's just me out here every day telling myself to get up, to get to work, to make a plan, to pray, to figure things out. Figure it out. Like, I'm just always figuring it out. And it's hard. It gets really hard sometimes, and it gets really overwhelming sometimes, and it makes you cry for a whole day or a week. And again, maybe that's just the life of being a grown-up and also being someone who's creative, someone who's trying to figure out like how to make their dreams come true and what to do in the meantime while those dreams are in the oven baking, right? And it's just a whole different type of struggle that, I sometimes feel like I'm doing on my own, and it's hard, and it makes me cry for a minute. But now I have to get up, I have to blow my nose, I gotta go pee, and I gotta get back to it, right? Okay, hello. I just pulled up at home because I just went to church today. It's my first time going back to church. I think I went once since the new year started, and I am a church girly. Okay, I love church, but ever since I've been going through like this really rough like mental and heart space time, I've been avoiding church, which is the opposite of what you should be doing in that space. church is probably a better place for you to go. And I'm glad I went. I take copious amounts of notes during church. I fill my journal with stuff because it's just words that I want to remember and words that really kind of just remind me that the universe, the world, God's plans are so much bigger than my little itty bitty experiences. And yet, I'm still part of it. I'm still part of the plan, you know? So, yeah, I'm glad I went. Today was a good day so far. Another quick little update. Last night, after I was done crying and eating, because sometimes the root of an emotional breakdown is simply hunger, I also called my mom and I told her everything that was going on, and she gave me a lot of help. That four-letter word that I was looking for, and she kind of just reminded me of, once again, who I am and how my life has worked so far and how it will probably continue to work again. And it really encouraged me to remind myself. So what I'm going to do is actually a little bit more journaling of my I am statements, just to like remember my inner strength a little bit. Because that's the thing about journaling. Like I did a whole series of I ams this month, at the beginning of this month, but it's not like, oh well, I did it and now I am all healed and everything's great. Like healing and all that self-work, it is a continuous process. It is a practice. If you don't use it, you will lose it. And I'm losing it right now. So I'm going to make myself a little after church snack, and then I am going to do some journaling. The after church snack in question, big ass sandwich. Woo! And me, I too am the snack.
So once again, I did what I always do when things get confusing and overwhelming. I pulled out my journal and I wrote out my feelings and the future that I saw for myself in my head. The type of work I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, how I wanted to earn money. But there was still this question of the work that I needed to do, the work that makes me income right now, which brings us to later on in the month.
Hi, I just got in my car. I'm leaving a job fair I just went to for the public school system where I live. It was actually really exciting. It was nice to one, just talk to teachers. My mom's a teacher. I grew up like in school, duh. But I grew up with just a passion for education, and although I never saw myself being a teacher and still don't, I meant what I said to a lot of people in there, which is that I want to be able to use my skills in media, writing, dissemination of information to kind of encourage, empower, and educate students, like especially now. I don't know. I feel like I'm floating in the wind, like wherever it is I'm supposed to land is where I will land. Wherever it is I'm not supposed to land is where I will not land. And that's grace at the end of the day. It's just frustrating. It's hard. But it was also very fun to be interviewed. It's been so long since I've been interviewed for roles. And this is my first time being interviewed for anything outside of journalism, except when I applied to Walmart. So it's a weird, we got a ghetto setup over here. I will confess that a perk of working in news media, especially liberal news media, is like you could be as liberal as you want it to be. But like lately I've had to take like my pole dancing content down, and I'm starting to be really conscious of like what's on my Threads account and what's on my newsletter, even though it encourages writing. It's something that I'm considering, like when I think about what my future of employment looks like, because I don't want to have to not be able to be myself, which seems like it is a feather in the scale on the side of work for yourself if you want to be able to be yourself, right? So yeah, it's just something to think about that I don't feel like I have the luxury to think about, because like we have bills to pay, we need to take care of things. But yeah, that's part of taking care of things at the same time. But yeah, there's something I'm supposed to learn by being in the current situation that I'm in, of being self-employed, feeling unemployed, trying to figure out what employment for me could and should look like. It's complicated, but I am hopeful that I'm learning something out of all this. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Hey, I'm Jolie. Today is Wednesday, April 9th, and I have made a decision. I just finished paying my federal taxes for the year. Last year, I uh, was working freelance gigs. I'm a professional writer and journalist, and I still ended up owing taxes, even though I only made a total of like $15,000 last year, maybe less, from freelance writing every day for several months. um, because apparently, when you are self employed, you automatically owe a self employment tax. Um, and I figured if I am going to be self employed and broke and still owing the government money, I might as well be really, actually, for real, self employed. So today, I have decided to start my own business. The difficult thing is, even though I've made my decision, by the way, it's several hours later. I just got home from church and I'm watching RuPaul's Drag Race. Michelle Visage is being critical. But the difficult thing is that even though I have made my decision, there is still this voice that exists in your head that is just like, you can't do that. That's a dumb idea. Why would you do that? No one cares. Like, it's better to just do nothing. But if I don't try, what else am I going to do? Nothing? Nothing is not an option. And here we are in the today of things. It is currently June 2025. I'm still freelancing, but more sporadically. I'm still writing for my newsletter, Finding the Right Words. I'm still hosting my podcast and teaching workshops. And I'm still thinking very seriously about working for myself and putting some serious effort into starting my own business. So I'm starting a small business. My goal is to create my own online shop where I would sell journals and notebooks and worksheets and stickers and affirmations and just things that help encourage creative living and hopefully help people feel inspired to start or continue on their own journaling journey. I also hope that my business will continue to expand my digital community, but also my real life community by continuing to teach classes and workshops and host retreats and anything that just helps people feel inspired to get introspective. So that's why I'm making these vlogs, to keep track of my growth and everything that I'm learning along the way. Because, like my dad says, I win or I learn, but I never lose. Because as long as I try, I'm always learning. And I have a lot to learn about being a small business owner, but it's better now than never. Okay. Pretty sure that's as good as it's gonna get. Not sure why I chose this angle, but I'm not changing it now. It's too much boobs. Is this too much boobs? What's wrong with me? Boobs. My hair is dirty. Okay. I think I'm ready to start. Nope, I'm not. Okay. Not ready.